So first, I have two doctorates. I've spent a year doing epigenetics research, and I spent about 3 years doing functional endocrinology, immunology, biochemistry, and physiology, with the one express purpose of helping alleviate people's chronic diseases or help them to live with them much more comfortably. I own the Epigenetics Healing Center. We've seen patients from 18 different countries currently. And we basically work with life-crippling diseases or chronic diseases that medicine doesn't have an answer for. And so we try to empower people and give them the opportunity to take control of their own health and see significant changes and really remarkably change their life. The reason that I do that, so by the age of 23, I already had psoriatic arthritis and couldn't use my hands anymore. I was disabled. I have big basketballs for hands and scabs and scales over my skin. I considered myself a mess, and it broke me spiritually as well as emotionally and physically. I really wanted to get married someday, and I felt like I was unmarriable at that point. Like, nobody's ever going to love me, and no one will ever want to have kids with me. I really wanted to have kids, and that was all very difficult on me. And I became a doctor to fix myself. I was on 6 medications by the age of 23. I'm not on any medications at all anymore. It was a very emotional time for me. When a doctor tells you, I'm sorry, you're unlucky, it's genetic, you learn how to live with it. There's new drugs, there's new treatments coming out all the time. And I didn't want to live with anything at that point because I was so depressed, just feel that I would be alone the rest of my life. And that's really hard, especially when you're, that was one of the most important things is as a romantic person, I wanted to find, someone who would love me and who I could love. And it was a very important thing. And then just feeling like I could never do that was soul killing for me. And so obviously I got my first doctorate with the only reason was to fix myself. Well, I'm not on any medication. I jump out of bed like a lion to serve my purpose every single day. I've spoken in like 8 different countries. I'm a best-selling author now, and I obviously run a world-renowned clinic called the Epigenetics Healing Center. And it keeps growing all the time, and it's wonderful. We get more and more people constantly, and it feels great. And people are like, oh, I got off this medication. I got off that medication. I feel good again. I can, we've had people stand out of wheelchairs and start walking. They hadn't walked for years. We've done a lot of really neat things, and it's a beautiful experience. But everything that we're trying to do, like if you guys thought about it, you could say, why are people sick in this world other than genetics? Because let's be clear, with the condition for this group, when we talk about ossifying tendons and connective tissue, and the fact that we all have those type of cells within our tendons that can ossify and create bony changes. There's a specific genetic coding issue where we don't control the scarring or the bone growth within connective tissue within the group that I'm speaking with right now. So our goal would be, 1, to empower you to make decisions that significantly decrease oxidative stress in your body, because any trauma can obviously cause ossification at this point. Any trauma, whether that's physical trauma, hey, I had someone bump into me really hard and I got an injury and now I have to worry about ossifying. Or, hey, how about on a daily basis, consistently getting oxidative stress caused by things like, so in your body, when you get, if you guys have heard of reactive oxygen species, those are your oxidative stress markers. Those are your free radicals. Has everyone heard of free radicals? Just give me a little nod yes if you've heard of free radicals. Anyone? Yes.
You might want to maybe wonder, Emma, if you don't mind explaining or expounding on that a little bit.
Okay, so a free radical, the real definition is that is reactive oxygen species or reactive nitrogen species. What those are super chaotic molecules. If you know what oxygen is, that is O2. That's 2 oxygens put together to make O2. Stable. But when you pull oxygens apart, you make O1, that is very unstable. And so it bangs around and beats things up, and you get it in your system. It'll break down your vessel walls. It can break down your muscular tissue. It can break down your tendons. It can break down your bones. It can cause autoimmune disease in your gut health and your brain health and all of these things. Reactive oxygen species is a free radical. It's a superoxide free radical, and you have a pathway, without getting too scientific, hopefully I haven't gone too far already. Superoxide dismutase is something that our bodies produce to get rid of those free radicals, but there's an intermediate. After it goes through superoxide dismutase, you turn that into something called hydrogen peroxide. Have you guys heard of hydrogen peroxide? You know, if you got a cut on your leg, you're like, I don't want to get an infection, I'm gonna pour hydrogen peroxide in there. So it's really interesting. Great story. My brother, when I was a kid, he's 6 years older than me, and I listened to everything my brother told me. And he said, well, you just keep pouring it in the wound until it stops bubbling. Because when you put hydrogen peroxide in the wound, just, you know, at some point it stops bubbling. He was causing significant damage to me by doing that. And the reason that hydrogen peroxide bubbles is because that's a chemical reaction where you use your final antioxidant system and your most abundant one in your body called glutathione. Glutathione peroxidase turns hydrogen peroxide, along with something called catalase, into water. So you become less damaged by that. But you have to have the whole antioxidant pathway to get rid of those free radicals. Now, if all you're doing is eating McDonald's and Burger King and ice cream and cake, you will burn out your antioxidant pathways, and those things will consistently create oxidative stress, damaging your tissue, creating trauma in your tissue, so you're more likely to ossify, which no one wants you to ossify anymore, right? Everyone with me on that? So it's important when you make food choices, thank you, Sophia. It's important when you make food choices to pick things that are indulgent, that you can enjoy and feel comfort with, but also be anti-inflammatory, and that is possible. I presented my anti-inflammatory Thanksgiving dinner at one point. I love to eat. I'm a big eater myself. I like to eat a lot. And so I presented an anti-inflammatory indulgent over-the-top Thanksgiving dinner and was invited to speak on 9 different news shows, including a national show in the United States. Basically, because they all wanted to eat it. So they invited me so I could make it on their set so they could eat it, and then everyone would learn about it. I decided I was just going to make it one time for my family, and I turned down all the opportunities. But you can do really great things if you just learn how to do it. So the basic tenets of eating an anti-inflammatory diet are this. You want to go with a nutrient-dense, somewhat calorie-restricted diet. Now, in fun times, you can do better bad choices. That's what really the Thanksgiving dinner was. You're going to eat a lot of stuff, but it fits within a spectrum of not spiking your blood sugars, because what does sugar do? It produces energy. Energy, by definition, is chaotic. Decreasing that energy expenditure is less chaotic. So if you're doing sugar without an antioxidant that comes with it, you know, within a fruit in general, one, it doesn't cause an insulin spike. Insulin spikes are toxic to your body. Insulin itself is toxic to your body because it's trying to get the sugar out of your blood. Interesting enough that fruit does not cause an insulin spike. You may get some insulin from just putting something sweet to the tip of your tongue, but it's not causing an insulin spike. Everyone can look up fructose, does not cause insulin spikes. So fruit's a really good thing for you. We can eat that and not cause too much oxidative stress because we have a balanced food. Yeah, we have sugar, but all the vitamins and the antioxidants are all there with it to offset that oxidative stress. So while you can get energy, you protect yourself from it. I don't know if any of you are vegans out there. I recommend eating a human sufficiency type of diet where humans do eat meat, and meat is okay as long as you're getting appropriately raised meats. So if you look at a typical feedlot cow, again, we're sticking with the idea of lower oxidative stress, lower free radicals, and more antioxidants. We're trying to decrease inflammation. Well, one of the things that we know is with fatty acids, if you have something called arachidonic acid or something created by omega-6 stimulates arachidonic acid, and arachidonic acid makes all of your things that swell you. If you remember Vioxx or Celebrex and all these anti-meloxicam, they're all COX inhibitors or COX-2 inhibitors. That's part of your inflammation of your joints and things like that. That comes from arachidonic acid, which is this big cascade caused by omega-6 fatty acids, linoleic acids. Now, if you guys are cooking with seed oils, what do seed oils have? Almost 100% of seed oils, other than chia, flax, and hemp. That's a big, by the way, big pearl I just gave you. Chia, flax, and hemp are the only seeds that have a higher omega-3 content with your omega-6. So omega-6 may still be higher, but your omega-3s are there. Sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, all the other seeds, including your grains, which are seeds too, are basically only omega-6. They're only stimulating omega-6, which is your arachidonic acid, which is all your pain, leukotrienes, which can be asthma and allergies, thromboxanes, which can clot blood. Those are all inflammatory processes. So if we focus ourselves on going, hey, I need to get an appropriate balance of omega-6 to omega-3. About 3 omega-6 to 1 omega-3 is a great balance. But in a standard American diet, and most diets across the world, we end up with a 22 to 1. And so according to the CDC, at least this is data about 5 years ago, I've just continued to parrot it, but it was true 5 years ago at least, and I'm sure it is now, which is typically our CDC says at least 60 to 80% of our entire adult population has at least one chronic disease. We are the sickest species to ever live in this world. It's unbelievable. And we say, oh, it's just genetic. Is it? I mean, how do we live? Do human beings sit inside all day on a computer, or do human beings go outside and absorb vitamin D from the sun? Do human beings eat meat and fruit and vegetables and nuts and seeds and eggs, or do we eat something that does not look like food at all? Is it a bag of Lay's potato chips? Even things that are healthy. This is plant-based. This is paleo. Whatever you want to get in a bag, it doesn't resemble food. And you go, well, it's got all the healthy ingredients. It's processed. It typically only has linoleic acids. It's got sunflower seed oil. It's got avocado oil. It's got olive oil. All these things are going to be higher in omega-6s or omega-9s. The omega-3s aren't going to be there, so you're going to offset your inflammatory balance. Now, getting back to the meat point, if you get traditional feedlot meat, the cow's been sitting in a feedlot its whole life, banging down grains like crazy and taking antibiotics and being stressed and not able to move, not going outside, not running around everywhere, not living a life that is conducive to its genetic coding. Just like you, if you sit inside all the time and you eat junk food all the time and you don't go out, you don't have purpose in life, you don't feel any happiness, and you're tortured your entire life, you're going to be unhealthy. Well, the cow you're eating in that same sort of situation is unhealthy. It's going to be full of, oh, this steak is really well marbled. Have you guys heard of marbling in a steak? The fat that's inside the muscle, intramuscular fat, it's not normal to have intramuscular fat. That is an abnormal pathological process. So you have all this corn coming into this cow, hyperinflammatory, only omega-6, full of sugar, and you get intramuscular fat in a sick cow. And when you eat it, there's no omega-3. It's almost entirely arachidonic acid, omega-6, and you're highly inflamed and it creates problems. On the converse side, let's talk about a cow that lives conducive to its genetic coding. It eats grass on an organic prairie. It walks around all day long in the sun with its family and its friends and it frolics. And then one day, bam, shot in the head, drops, hits the ground, doesn't suffer, it's just down. They scoop it up, they process it, and voila, you have high omega-3 anti-inflammatory meat that decreases your overall inflammatory process. You're getting protein with no lectins, you understand your plant proteins, your pea proteins, your rice proteins, your soy proteins are full of lectins. Lectins are gut damaging phytochemicals that make it so you're much more likely to get autoimmune disease or inflammatory processes and make your microbiome or the roots to hold on to good bacteria inside of your gut, the bacterial balance you have that controls your immune responses. if you damage your gut lining, you change the way your immune system works and you create autoimmune conditions. Autoimmune meaning attacking yourself, you will create more trauma to your tissue and create more problems. I'm just going through the nutrition first. I'm going to talk about how to get there mentally so that it's not a hard transition. But eating things that are congruent with their genetic coding, cows treated right, chickens treated right, goat treated right, whatever, treated appropriately, not tortured. That's the circle of life. That's what humans do to survive, and it's very healthy. And then you get into vegetables. You have tons of phytochemicals and very low sugar, very low energy content, which is less free radicals and more antioxidants. So we can do this and not damage ourselves. You add in something like fish oil, which is fantastic because it's very high in omega-3, and you make sure you take a good one, take a true triglyceride so you can absorb it, and make sure it's a clean one. Don't get a cheap one. I know it sounds like a great, it's so cheap. Don't do that, because you're probably getting some oxidized oils, which again are damaging. But the question is, how do we get there from a mental standpoint? How do we get there to go, hey, I want to eat healthy, but I crave ice cream and I crave cookies and I crave. So what you're craving is something called dopamine. So dopamine is a chemical in your body that is stimulating. And when we don't get outside and when we don't see our friends and when we don't go try new things in life, which can be really difficult, we may depend upon food for our dopamine. Because in the end, we're all just dopamine seeking missiles. Let's go after, I want to feel good. Well, sugar will make you feel good for a minute. And then it'll damage other things and make it harder for you to exist in your life. I just shot a live video the other day talking about we need to stop making food paradise. I wake up like, what fancy food could I eat today? Oh, I'm wondering, I should have this casserole or this lasagna. Oh, that sounds great. And we created a fetish out of eating, of like, I love all these foods and these indulgences. And I like indulgences too, don't get me wrong. But it's the focus of what can I experience in life? How can I connect with other people? What can I learn today? What skill can I create? No matter what position you're in, no matter how mobile you are or what you can do, you can still learn new things. You can create new experiences and be proud of yourself. Doing the right thing, whether you want to or not on a daily basis, is a habit. And that's where we build integrity and self-confidence. Self-mastery. And the more we do the right things, whether we want to or not, the more it becomes who we are. I was talking to someone the other day and I said, if I was in a small town and there was only a McDonald's and a Wendy's and a Burger King there, I would fast. It's not who I am. It's not what I believe of myself. I wouldn't even consider going, I'm going to go get a Big Mac. I'm going to go get a Whopper. It wouldn't be a possibility. It's not even a possibility. So do I do better bad choices? Yeah, I do. I will eat indulgently, I'll eat big, but I do it the right way. And I get a lot of satisfaction. I feel very good about eating the way I eat, which is very ancestral. I spent a year doing epigenetics research, and this is what we learned, which is fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, meats, and those appropriately raised meats, pasture-raised eggs, and drinking a lot of water, clean water, distilled, reverse osmosis, so you don't have all those other chemicals. Because right now, our environment is somewhat questionable. And yeah, you can eat fish too, but be aware, even the cleanest fish in the world, according to the Environmental Protection Agency, the cleanest fish in the world, Alaskan sockeye salmon, no more than 31 meals per month of that, as it will cause severe mercury toxicity. That's the cleanest fish. And we're worried about, so once a week probably is the most ever you're going to want to do fish, because you want to keep those heavy metals away, because heavy metals will affect your immune system. Emotionally, on a day-by-day basis, you got to find, what fruits do I like? Fruits are the easiest, right? Because you got your sugars, but you also have antioxidants. It's perfectly fine to have fruit. If you like meat, eat meat. Eat all the meat you want, but eat appropriately raised meat. And you know what's indulgent? And they call it like soul food. Like, this will feed my soul. Well, I like a steak. Steaks are good, so I'll eat a steak, but it's 100% grass-fed. Salt, pepper, garlic. I don't put a lot of crazy stuff on. I'm not putting sugar on it. And it tastes good. And as long as you're not doing fake sugars, you know what also tastes good? Fruit. Fruit tastes incredibly sweet. Oh my gosh, when I have fruit, it's crazy. Your vegetables. One of the things you can do with your vegetables, if you're eating cucumbers, there's lectins in the peel and there's lectins in the seeds. Remove the seeds, remove the peel, and you have a pretty darn healthy thing there. We can talk about nightshades. Do you guys know what nightshades are? Just give me a nod, yes and no, if you know nightshades. So nightshades can, things like bell peppers and tomatoes, spicy peppers, eggplant, white potatoes, they have a phytoalkaloid or another phytochemical that is there to protect them from bugs. They don't want to be eaten. Well, when you ingest that, that's actually hard on your system too. It may not kill you, but it creates an oxidative stress. Less of those things is probably a good thing. Okay. But I will tell you, so if we can start focusing on doing the right thing, go, hey, what do I want to experience in life today? Don't make our life so small. It's all about food. What restaurant can I go to? What do I get to eat today? What dessert? That is and I understand there's limitations to what people can do at times, especially like when I couldn't use my hands. I'm like, oh, I can't go play baseball. What? So that was one of my fears. You know, I couldn't use my hands. I was disabled. And I'm going, hey, even if I could find a wife, even if I could, because there's no way I could, but if I could, and my kids want to play baseball with me, I couldn't throw a baseball with them. You know, that's heartbreaking to me. But you can still come up with other things. Like, what else can I use my mind to do? Where can I grow in life? Because you basically only have you have growth and you have the other way. You have two ways. Find ways to grow every day and make food the way that you're fueling your dreams. You're fueling your process of growth. Don't make that the central focus of your happiness and pleasure. Again, we're just dopamine seeking missiles. Find dopamine from something else. You don't need the sugar. You don't need the unopposed oxidative stress. It's not going to help you. And, you know, and I know I've talked to a lot of groups that have different chronic diseases, and there's always people out there that are like, well, you don't understand what it's like. No, I don't. I do understand what it was like to be my chronic disease. I don't understand yours, but I do understand the emotional aspects of it. And I know that at any point in time you go, well, there's just no way to slow this down. This is very, it's terrible. Like, this is just what happens. Like, okay, well, how about every person that is your age that suffers with that rare condition? Do all of them have the exact same symptoms? Or are they different? Are there some people that have that condition who have minimal symptoms at your age when you're in a worse place than they are? And I'm going to guess you'll say yes. Yeah, that means people have different manifestations. Fine. I would guess that has to do with oxidative stress, the amount of inflammation in the body, and the way they take care of themselves. And so the more that you can put your feet down and go, I'm going to take care of me, the better chance you have of feeling better. And I think wherever you are, you can get better tomorrow. And after that day, you can get better the next day. You just day by day create the habit of doing the right thing, and good things will happen. Good things don't go unnoticed on anyone. It does work. So with that being said, just so you're aware, I don't know how many people are out there. I don't even know if I can handle. I don't know how many people we have on this call.
We have 10 people plus 7 people.
I can handle that. Okay. I've done one of these before where we had like 150 people on the call. And when I offer it, so basically I'm saying if anybody cares, so what the Epigenetics Healing Center we're known for is super ultra in-depth labs to try to figure out exactly where your pinch points are. Do you have infections? Do you have exposures? Do you have, you know, whatever? Just so you're aware, anybody who is part of this group, just call them and say you're part of this group. If you want a consultation with me directly, we charge $287 for it. It's $87 if you guys want to have a consult with me. And then we also have a holistic health educator that can teach you how to eat appropriately and actually walk you through it and teach it to you. So you're not stuck with me or any other doctor the rest of your life. So you actually can learn how to take care of yourself. I think that's really empowering. But so real quick, why, other than genetics, why are people unhealthy in this world right now? Feel free to unmute yourself and shout it out. But why are people unhealthy in this world beyond just genetics? Why are people unhealthy?
Like,
so there we go. I heard somebody.
I was thinking stress, or the ways we react to coping with stress.
Stress, and so that's an emotional aspect. So that is a stressor that we're talking about, emotional, and the way we handle it. When we talk about stress, we talk about emotional stuff. Anything else? Connie?
5G.
5G is a real thing. That's another stressor on the body. By the way, 5G makes dopamine all the more addictive because it will make your brain secrete more of that. So 5G emotional stuff. What about the food we eat? Does that make sense?
Of course.
The food we eat obviously has something to do with how we feel, right? How about exercise? Do you think a lack of exercise causes problems? Okay. The way we deal with stress, as you said, 5G causes exposures, toxins, all these things play a role within chronic disease. All right. At no point in time does anyone ever say we need more drugs and surgery. I mean, you think about that. At no point in time does anyone, well, the reason we're just sick is because we just need more drugs and surgery. You all agree that's a kind of a ludicrous statement to make, that it would be all just drugs and surgery? Okay. But we're in a system in all walks of life. We're in a system that's kind of broken, where you have doctors that want to help you, but we don't need more drugs and surgery. What does insurance pay for?
Drugs and surgery.
100%. And so by definition, every time you use your insurance to try to get better, you are never going to get to the root cause of your issues. You can't, because it only pays for things that will never get to the root cause of your issues. It's always putting a Band-Aid on it and hoping that that Band-Aid lasts longer than the last one. Hey, if you're driving your car and you see the check engine light come on, do you want to figure out what that check engine light's coming on for? Or do you go, man, that's annoying to look at, let's just shut off the check engine light? Okay. So I think we understand that answer. If your body will respond to things, you talk about like things like cholesterol, or not cholesterol, talk about things like blood pressure. If you go up in the mountains in Colorado, go up in high mountains in the Swiss Alps, there's something different about the air up there. What is the different about the air high up on a mountain? What's different? Anyone?
It's got more ozone in it?
Well, it may have that too.
But
lower oxygen.
Lower oxygen.
Okay. So when you got these beautiful body system that regulates itself, and you breathe in on the mountain and you go, oh, wow, I feel different. In your blood check, there's these things called chemoreceptors in your carotid artery. And it tells your brain, hey, brain, we're low on oxygen. And the brain says, oh, we are? Oh, hey, heart, we're low on oxygen. Heart goes, and starts pumping really hard. And guess what happens to your blood pressure? Goes up significantly. Now, if we're thinking of this from a holistic point of view or not, let's go this. If you're on the mountain and your blood pressure goes up, your doctor looks at your blood pressure and goes, you have high blood pressure. Why don't you take some lisinopril or some hydrochlorothiazide diuretic, because that should lower your blood pressure. Does that make sense? Or does it make more sense to go, hey, why don't you get off the mountain and see what happens to your blood pressure? Which one would you do, 1 or 2? 2, right? You go, yeah, it makes sense. I would just get off the mountain. So that's how we think appropriately about taking care of the root cause. You don't just go, oh, well, my blood pressure's high. Here, let's lower the blood pressure. Shouldn't we figure out why? And yeah, I understand. Hey, there's some calcification, there's some ossification. I get that. But there's a reason you're ossifying either faster or slower than other people. And that's something you need to figure out. What's your diet look like? What's your exercise look like? Have you had any exposures to mold? Do you have any heavy metals? Do you have a Clostridium infection? Do you have bacterial overgrowth, fungal overgrowth, candida? Do you have environmental toxins? Do you have glyphosates? Are you getting exposed to lots of 5G? Do you sleep with your cell phone next to your head? All these things are holistically important to your health. And the more that emotionally or mentally you can get to the proposition of, I am important. I don't care that someone just brought me a cake. Hey, I brought you a cake. And you're like, I feel so bad. I can't eat that right now, but they brought it to me. I don't want them to feel bad. Do you love them more than yourself? Because I want you to know, if you want to help people fulfill their purpose, I believe people have a purpose in life. You guys believe we have a purpose in life? Okay. You can't help anyone else fulfill their purpose if you can't fulfill your own. And the only way I'm fulfilling my purpose is I first fulfilled my health. I freaking feel great every single day. It's because I refuse to let my patients down. Do you think I've had thousands of people at my clinic over the last 12 years? How big of a letdown would that be? Is I have patients come in, I'm like, man, I feel terrible today. Yes, I am obese at this point in time. But just listen to what I'm telling you. I know what to do. That doesn't make sense. You're not going to follow someone. The most successful people in the world have mentors and make quick decisions. That's really what it is. I've spoken all over the world. I've spoken very high level events, whether it's with Suzanne Summers at Harvard Faculty Club or with Dr. Oz at CNN. And I'll tell you, the most successful people, they all have mentors and make quick decisions. So if someone's telling you, hey, this is the way I do it, and I'm successful, listen to what I'm doing. I think of it this way, this is the way I do it, and I'm remarkably successful. Maybe that person, you don't need to blaze your own trail. You can follow that person and make that decision. But when you waffle, you go, I don't know if I could succeed at this. I don't want to try it because if I fail, then I'll feel really bad. There is no failure. You don't fail unless you quit. Only way to fail in life. The most successful people fail 10,000 times before they succeed once. And all you do is see the success because that's what made them famous. All of you can succeed. Every single one of you can succeed. You just have to make a decision to start trying, taking the one baby step in the right direction. Doesn't take, just think about that. Take a baby step in the right direction. Just one time, take one step. And you'll do a little better. Don't expect massive results from one step, except emotionally and mentally who you are takes a massive leap in the right direction. I believe in everyone. I've never met a person that wanted to get better that I didn't feel could get better. And I believe all you can do it. You just need to make a decision that you want to change. If you want to learn the dietary stuff, like I was saying, again, call, make an appointment, get on Monica's schedule, my holistic health educator. She'll walk you through a whole curriculum, which is meant to teach people to be self-sufficient and not dependent on doctors the rest of their life. If you really want to talk individually about yourself with me, make an appointment. I took $200 off the consults, $87 for an hour with me to sit down and break down everything. But no matter what, I gave you a lot of information today. Act on it. Don't wait. Literally tomorrow, go, okay, I'm going to start the day off with a fruit, a vegetable, and a meat. Easy enough. What do I love to eat? I love turkey sausage. Okay, I'm going to have turkey sausage. I'm going to have an egg, and I'm going to have a sweet potato, and I'll have a handful of blackberries. I'm just making up stuff, but you can do that. You just have to make the decision to do it and go, no matter what, when I wake up tomorrow, I don't care how I feel, I'm going to do that. All right. And with that, I'll open up for questions. Question and answer, Q&A. Let's go to work. Yes, Connie.
I've been doing smoothies with a Metagenics product that is for sarcopenia.
Okay.
It's a pea isolate. Now, wondering if the lectins in that are kind of counter. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome,
Okay.
which is, well, you know what it is. For everyone else, where FOP is ossifying your connective tissue. Mine, Ehlers-Danlos cannot, I don't have the ability to process collagen, so I'm loosey-goosey with a lot of other issues I've just found out in the last 2 weeks. So I'm really interested in consulting with you, doctor.
Yeah, we've actually had incredible results with Ehlers-Danlos and Marfan syndrome patients. They respond very, very well to understanding collagen formation and how that works and trying to protect the tissues that you do have so they don't break down. You don't have to keep producing the collagen over and over. It's if you look at it from that point of view, from the ossifying of connective tissue to the trouble making connective tissue, it's the same thing. One, it's becoming bony. One, it's becoming more loose. Both are pathological, but that's just the genetic difference. You're actually getting the same response. It's just a different genetic condition.
Whoa, this is what I've been waiting to hear. Sophia is my daughter. I hope I'm not.
Hi, Sophia.
And she has
Yeah.
FOP. I think she also has Ehlers-Danlos.
I think, all those things are
Hypermobile, her hands are amazing.
okay. Again, when I treat someone, I want you to know. So the way I treat is, I do take into account what your condition is because I want to know how we're improving things, and that's the only way you can improve things. And the real truth is that I'm just trying to figure out why you're getting extra oxidative stress and trying to fix that process. It doesn't matter what condition. If you come in with psoriatic arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, colitis, Crohn's disease, we have incredible results with everyone. But it's always about, let's find the root cause. I'm not going to give you a bunch of curcumin to decrease your inflammation. That's not my point. My point is, let's figure out why you're inflamed and remove it, and then increase all the ability of your body to heal. That's really important. And I think your name is I'm not even trying the last name. So Pau, vitamin D, everyone every day for the rest of their lives should take vitamin D. In a year of epigenetic study, that was one of the supplements that everyone should always take, because typically we're not outside basically naked from the hours of noon to 2 for about a half hour every day, because that's where you would need to be to get your vitamin D. So we always take vitamin D every single day the rest of our lives, because we just need to keep that up, because we live in a concrete jungle at this point and we're not outside all the time.
How many units?
What's that?
How many units?
Well, so that depends. So I typically am a 5,000 IU a day person always, but getting tested is really important. It's very safe to do 2,000. No doubt about it. 2,000, you're safe. 5,000 most likely is safe. Going higher than that's not as safe unless you're testing and you know where you're at. We like people to sit within vitamin D somewhere between 60 and 90. 30 is where medical range begins. And you got to understand, medical range is this, so you don't have a frank medical condition. We're trying to take you to an optimal place where you're not having oxidative stress and damaging your body, and you get to live a longer, healthier life. That's a different place. And sometimes I put people on 20,000 IU initially until we get to the spot, and then we pull it all back and then keep you there. Now, all right, you're between 69, we can keep you there at this dose, but it's always objective. You know, we do, again, what the Epigenetics Healing Center is known for is the most in-depth laboratory testing anywhere in the world. There's a reason people travel to be here. Getting objective answers and then treating accordingly makes a whole lot more sense than going, okay, you feel this way, let me give you this pill and we're going to do natural medicine. It's that we're not doing natural medicine, we're doing epigenetics. So yeah, I'll use natural products, but the goal is to get you off of them and not have you on pills the rest of your life. All right.
I have a question. Before you joined on, we were talking about, foods that we like to enjoy, and several of our participants today said that they, because of limited jaw mobility, enjoy only purees does nutrient density or nutrition in food change when it's pureed like that?
So I would say this. Okay. So one, you get a bigger spike of nutrients when it's broken down. You don't have the fiber to slow the spike of the sugars. Now with a smoothie, you get a whole lot more than a juice, but you're still breaking it down some. I would say this, and this is something that I don't always agree with, but hear what I'm about to say, because this is a pearl that most of my patients don't even know about, because I try to restrict this type of eating. But this is perfectly healthy. As long as you just open the door and you don't run through the whole house, this is a good thing. If you can get grass-fed A2, plain cultured yogurt. A2 is very important. A1 leads to autoimmune disease and damage. Human bodies don't handle it well. A2 is fine. It's a protein. They are breeding cows now that just do pure A2. Goats and sheep typically have a whole lot less A1 and more A2, but they'll still have some A1. You want no A1 at all. Grass-fed, meaning it's got high CLAs, conjugated linoleic acids that turn into omega-3, so it is anti-inflammatory, and it's got all the bacterial cultures to keep your gut healthy. You can add honey to that because honey has its own microbiome, and it's all healthy for you as well. So you do some honey, you do that plain yogurt, A2, grass-fed. Of course, you can, Sophie, you can definitely ask a question like that. Give me 1 second, I'll finish this, and then you shout it out, okay? One, it's amazing, super easy because it's soft. You can easily drink that down. You can throw that into a smoothie with your fruit so that it'll slow down the spike of sugar in your blood. It's got protein, it's got fat. It will help populate your intestine. It typically causes no bloat or gas, even though it's dairy, because it's A2 and it's grass-fed. Very, very impressive stuff. So I think for people who can't masticate appropriately because the jaw is already in pain, that would be really helpful because you're going to get your protein, your fat, and you're going to get nutrient dense foods. Also, you guys can go on a website called lifesupporthp.com, lifesupporthp.com, which is life support health products. There's a product called Life Support. It's a powder that has all the nutrients your body could utilize to create all the antioxidants, to re-regulate your gut lining, super high doses of vitamin D. The spore form bacteria in there 100% gets into your gut lining. It's an amazing product that also heals gut tissue. It tastes amazing. You can throw that into a smoothie with some blueberries, with some strawberries, with this yogurt. Mix that together. It's going to taste like a dream, like a milkshake. And it's going to be the most indulgent, anti-inflammatory drink that you could possibly have. It'll be like a fruit milkshake.
What's the name of the powder?
It's called Life Support Powder. It's on lifesupporthp.com. They also have an anti-pathogen product, but lifesupporthp.com, the Life Support is just baseline nutrition for everyone. It takes care of all the stuff that epigenetics teaches us we need. And that's 1 scoop a day instead of like 45 pills. All right. So, Sophia. Hey, Hope, did I answer your question?
Yes, that was helpful. Thank you.